All right. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day, a good evening, and we're looking forward to a good 4th of July weekend, hopefully. I know I am. We're going to be taking a bit of a break and heading out to my parents. Yeah, we're going to do a little forecast session here. So if anybody's got any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat room and we'll try to get to them. Of course, we're going to start off by just looking at the forecast in general, and then if anybody's got any questions beyond that, we can try to cover them. But we'll try to do the best I can. I know everybody's going to be looking um, forward to hopefully lighting off some fireworks, much like we are. So let's just kind of get into it, and we will cover anything afterwards if I didn't cover it. Right now, looking at the current radar, not much going on across the Dakotas and Minnesota. A little bit of, few showers, maybe some storms off in the northwestern parts of North Dakota, a few showers down in southern parts of Minnesota. But that's about it. The stuff way down in the south into Nebraska this evening is expected to stay south. And so we're not really concerned about that. Actually, going to be one of the quieter nights here Thursday night. Comparatively speaking, from the remainder of the holiday weekend. Taking a look at the current satellite. And you can see how we've got the westerly mid-level flow here. And for this point, at this point in the evening, keeping everything well south of our region. So, not a whole lot going on today. So as we take a look at the actual forecast, here's kind of what we're expecting here is we go into Friday, and right now here's sort of Friday evening. Now we're looking at the mid-levels of the atmosphere here. And this is going to be kind of a theme over the next couple of nights. So Friday night, we've got just this short little, just a little short wave that begins to move into western parts of South Dakota. You can see it kind of moves eastward through time, but then really, as it does so, kind of fades out. Here we are at midnight, at least according to this model, and you just barely make it out, but it's kind of sliding down to the south and east throughout the time Friday night. Now, as we get into Saturday and Saturday night, once again, you can see another short wave, a little bit longer, affects parts of North Dakota as well as South Dakota. Probably some storms firing off into eastern parts of Montana and Wyoming as well. Then as we get into the evening and nighttime hours, you can see once again that short wave just kind of moves east, but really kind of washes out as we get into the overnight hours. We get into Sunday and Sunday night. Now this particular model, and I'm going to show you a couple of differences here, obviously, between some of the models, but this one that we're looking at this point, interestingly enough, has these little shorter waves, kind of late afternoon, Sunday afternoon, that might be able to set off a few storms into North Dakota earlier than some of the other models are showing. But ultimately, the main wave, the stronger wave, sits back at this point right around 7 p.m. Sunday evening, further back to the west into Montana. So what that does is eventually that shortwave, here we are just probably about 3 or 4 a.m., only begins to move its way into North Dakota and then continues on through the morning hours on Monday. And here we are right around noon or 1 p.m. on Monday, and it's kind of into eastern North Dakota at this point. So that one might last or come through just a little bit later on Sunday night, and then kind of carry into North Dakota on Monday morning. But then probably the more interesting one of everything comes Monday night. We could see again another shortwave begins to pop some storms off into eastern parts of Montana. And that carries eastward and really doesn't die off. Here we are by 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Now, I know we're getting out there a little bit, but just a little interesting thing here to watch. Here we are at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. And then we get into Tuesday evening. And here we are. That short wave begins to has now moved through Wisconsin and begins to move into Michigan. Oops, and I cleared that out. Didn't mean to. But then as we get into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, now we're getting into New York and Pennsylvania. So If anybody follows along on Twitter, there's been some talk about a derecho event, and if it's going to happen, it looks like it's probably going to stem from this little bit of a storm from Monday night through Tuesday. So we'll see if that it does indeed happen. That's out there quite a ways, but just a little interesting thing to watch, I guess. We're taking a look at kind of the shorter range model, kind of the same thing though, mid-level flow, and just kind of get a feel for what that's showing for Friday. And same thing, just a little short wave that starts to fire up into western South Dakota, continues through midnight. Here we are, kind of sits into central parts of South Dakota by that point, and then kind of dives down to the southeast by Saturday morning. So you can kind of get a feel for maybe how some of these storms will develop and then kind of push to the east-southeast through the overnight hours Friday night into Saturday morning. And then Saturday, again, late in the day, another short wave, a little bit, one that kind of extends into North Dakota at this time, kind of pushes eastward. Doesn't wash out quite as much Saturday night into early Sunday morning, so some storms may linger into or get into eastern parts of the Dakotas, western Minnesota, early Sunday morning. But the other thing it kind of does is it runs out of that low level, the good cape and the low level moisture, as I'll show you in a bit. And then as we get into Sunday night, late Sunday into Sunday night, now if you remember, that other model I showed had a few little short waves out ahead of it that could spark off some storms earlier into North Dakota. This one doesn't have it, but it does have that bigger, long, short wave further off into Montana that's expected to move through Sunday night and through Monday. So with all that said, here you can kind of see what the model does. It fires up some storms late Friday into western South Dakota, kind of pushes them east-southeast. Now some of these into South Dakota here, they could be severe with some winds and some large hail. Mainly probably going to be dealing with the winds here on Friday night. And I think as they continue to push east-southeast throughout the overnight hours, they're probably going to lose some of its punch, but by 2-3 a.m., if they do make it into kind of far southeastern portions of South Dakota, you might still have some winds of 60 miles per hour that could sort of graze Sioux Falls very early Saturday morning. But I think ultimately most of the storms, most of the severe stuff will be in western parts of South Dakota for Friday night into early Saturday. And then as we get into Saturday afternoon and Saturday night, here we go with the storms once again in through western parts of the Dakotas. And those just very slowly move east for now. As you remember, looking at this shortwave, let's see here. Saturday night into Sunday, that one takes a little bit longer to move from west to east. By morning, it only gets into western parts of Minnesota. So again, that one by morning hours may reach western parts of Minnesota by about 9 a.m. or so. But ultimately, again, the strong stuff is going to be in the western part of the Dakotas with the stronger winds and some hail. And then as they go eastward, they're going to slowly sort of lose their punch. And then as we get into Sunday, this is where it becomes a little more gray with the forecast. If I get to the right day here. Here you can see with this model, and this was the one earlier that I showed had these more of these short little waves out ahead of this bigger one further out into Montana. And of course, as you would expect, it does pop up some storms in through North Dakota and South Dakota. Now, if that does develop on Sunday, now, of course, Sunday being maybe more of a time when more people are going to be lighting off fireworks just because it's July 3rd. Some people might be going home, having to go home on Monday the 4th because they got to work the next day. So if this particular model does pan out, well, unfortunately, that might mean that some areas will get kind of rained out with your 4th lighting off the fireworks and all that. But with that kind of being said, the little bit shorter range model as we get into late Sunday doesn't doesn't have anything. It develops the stuff further off into Montana. This was also the model that didn't have those little short waves associated with it. So it doesn't have anything really developing late Sunday. So hopefully that's the case. I kind of think it will be, I just given how things typically flow with this type of pattern, where you have this, kind of a ridge. You wind up getting these ridge riders that just, they fire off in the mountains into portions of the higher terrains of Montana and in Wyoming, and they carry eastward. So I think that's probably the more likely scenario. So right now, I think Sunday evening will probably be pretty good until you get, late into Sunday night, and into early Monday morning. Then as we get into Monday, the actual day, actual 4th of July, models sort of begin to agree once again, where these storms begin to fire off into Montana, kind of like we've been saying, kind of what is typical for this type of pattern, and then begins to carry eastward. So again, we're looking at some severe storms running through North Dakota, South Dakota, through the overnight hours, Monday night. So here we are right around 9-10 o'clock peak fireworks setting off time, and it looks like portions of the western Dakotas may start off a little bit wet. You have some storms that are just going to be exiting out of southern Minnesota at that point. But hopefully they'll exit out a little bit sooner, that your 4th of July plans, the big firework displays won't be postponed. But ultimately, I think western Dakotas might be in trouble as far as that goes. And then that storm is expected to continue to move eastward Monday night into Tuesday morning, and then run into probably the Minneapolis area right around noontime on Monday. And then that one carries eastward, and then here comes the next batch of storms Tuesday night. And look at that. Here's that derecho event, I guess, which I forgot to mention. Here you can see those storms continue to move into the cities around noon, and through Wisconsin and through Michigan, and then continue into Ohio and Pennsylvania. So we'll see if that does indeed happen, but that's kind of the gist of it, I guess, at this point. Trying to find, not that one. Here is kind of the very, very latest model run. Not everything has come in with this one yet. But late Friday, you can see these storms begin to develop into western South Dakota and continue to push eastward through the overnight hours. If we move on to, I think this one's kind of a little more finished. This one gives a little bit better representation for Friday night, how those storms kind of develop. Again, probably dealing mostly with wind, maybe some hail as well, especially at the onset, especially western parts of South Dakota, continue to push eastward. And then here we are around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3, 4. And by this point, maybe if there's anything severe, it might just be exiting into Nebraska at that point. So this doesn't look to be severe. It's probably just going to be some rain and some scattered storms at that point. So that's kind of what Friday night into Saturday is looking like. That's a pretty good representation of what I think is going to happen. And then as we get into a Saturday, here's maybe where it could fire off some storms out ahead of the main line that's going to be further back into Montana. So just something to keep in mind, I guess, on Saturday. But we are expecting some storms to fire off and move into western Dakotas through the overnight hours Saturday night in through Sunday. Again, with the wind being the main type of concern for that. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, so I'm sorry. I've got a lot. There's so many different things to take a look at that it's hard to just really focus in on one thing and figure out what's going to happen, especially as some of these models are starting to come in this evening. But you kind of get the gist of it. We're looking at storms, western Dakotas moving eastward, fading out, repeat again. Ultimately, it looks like areas into northeastern parts of Minnesota really won't be that bad. I don't think, most of the storms kind of fire off into western parts of South Dakota. And then as they move east, they either fizzle out or, they kind of dive southeast and move out of the area all completely. So that's more or less the gist of it. When it comes to these storms, the temperature wise, as we're looking just for Friday, we're looking at mid 80s, mid to upper 80s across the far southern portions, or through South Dakota, far southern portions of Minnesota. But otherwise, we're looking at 70s for Friday, not bad. And then as we get into Saturday's highs, 80s kind of across western Dakotas, 70s generally everywhere else. If some of the rain kind of lingers on, I mean, they're looking at maybe only mid 60s, but I'd say we're probably going to get down up to 70 down in the southern parts of Minnesota as well. And then as you get into your Sunday, again, western Dakotas 80s, maybe some 90s into southwestern parts of South Dakota, 70s across Minnesota, eastern Dakotas for Sunday, and then Monday actually it looks to be kind of a repeat of your Sunday. So that's kind of just the real quick version of it. Let's see if this latest model has come in or how far it's come in. There's your storms Friday night, Saturday morning into South Dakota. So it's doing the same thing with this latest run, moving it eastward, kind of fizzling it out into early Saturday morning. So I think eastern South Dakota really doesn't have anything to worry about, and into Minnesota as well. It's mostly going to be western South Dakota Friday night. And then for Saturday, probably the western parts of the Dakotas, much like we were depicting with this one. There's your Saturday night. Those storms kind of fire up, move east, fizzle out. And then Sunday, some of those storms may fire up into North Dakota, South Dakota early, but then ultimately this storm is kind of the main one that probably rolled through late in the night into early Monday morning. And then Monday night, those storms move across. So that's kind of I guess the quick and dirty version of it. I apologize if it was sort of all over the place, but that's when you start to get that far out, I think we got a decent handle on Friday night and Saturday night. Sunday's obviously just a little murky yet as to whether some of these storms later in the afternoon are going to fire in through North Dakota. And if they do, I will say if these storms do manage to develop, there is a bit of a warm front that's showing up with these, with this particular model. So if this were to develop late Sunday, those could be severe as well, with hail, wind. I don't think tornadoes, because that's kind of, we're sitting on the wrong side of that actual front, but I think the hail and the wind would definitely be the problem there. So it's something to just kind of keep an eye on. I think the main storm will be further back to the west. But if some storms do develop later in the afternoon Sunday, there is the possibility of some severe weather occurring with that. So that's basically what we've got going on. Hello, Manx Cat. Hi, Santi and Chicago. Yeah, like I said, Minneapolis area, really nothing until that Monday night, that Tuesday morning cell that rolls through with that possibility, if you want to call it derecho, if it'll happen, we'll see. But Tuesday morning would probably be the time when you'd have the best chance for some strong winds rolling through your area. So, but otherwise, I think for the most part, Minneapolis, will, other than maybe getting some rain and some thunderstorms, early in the morning hours, I don't really see any severe weather occurring for you guys there. And yeah, it looks like, really ultimately with this type of setup, you can see how that ridge just kind of sits over us. So of course, that warm air is allowed to move into western parts of South Dakota in particular. But really kind of more the warm air sits to the west and south, while the north kind of sits a little closer to that jet stream. And because of that, that's why we're kind of dealing with a little bit, I guess not cooler, but more comfortable temperatures throughout Sunday and Monday. Now, as we get into later in the week, and we'll see if this happens, but I just kind of noticed this as we get late into next week. If this ridge does build like this model is saying, of course, what develops on the south side of these big domes is just a bunch of hot air that's allowed to come up, from the south. So if that happens, I will keep an eye on that one as well. But we'd be looking at a pretty toasty week next weekend, where we're looking at 90s and 100s again. So right now, this particular model is showing that possibility for next weekend. So central time on the map's not good with Zulu. Yeah, I had another. I think I still have it. Yeah, not good with Zulu time. That's why I'm trying to say the times as I go. I do have another one. I'm going to drop it here shortly. Just because I don't always like the way it presents. It's kind of, it's kind of clunky to use, but that is the one nice thing with this particular product, is it does give it in local time. And I'll try to pull that up here. Region. And that's this one. So there you can see off to whatever, that way, as you look at it. On your left side of your screen, you can see the time on that. But as I kind of scroll through here, like I said, it's just a little clunkier. It doesn't quite display it the way I'd like it to, so I don't always use it. But you can kind of get the feeling of the time frame from this one here, and how those storms kind of develop off into western parts of South Dakota. Now, again, this one doesn't make it look quite as strong, but I do think there's the possibility of some stronger winds out there. But you do know it as they move eastward and into eastern parts of South Dakota, they do tend to sort of fizzle out. So that's the NAM 3 kilometer, the HRRR version. As we get late into Friday, unfortunately, this one doesn't go as far out. But there you've got the timestamp off to the left again. 9 p.m., 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2. That gives you a little bit better time frame of what we're looking at least through Friday night into Saturday morning. And then maybe some of those storms into western parts of the Dakotas late in the day on Saturday. Yeah, some of these models are just starting to come in. Litchfield, looking for Saturday, Sunday. Litchfield, I got to remind myself where that is. Hold on. Oh, western parts of the city, yeah, kind of in between Wilmer, Minneapolis. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. Looks like your Saturday might start off with some rain in Litchfield. Some scattered showers. It looks like it's probably going to clear off later in the day. Let's see here. But I think all in all, like I said, you're probably not looking too bad for Litchfield. We'll flip back over to this model. yeah, those showers kind of move out later in the day on Saturday, kind of reset. So your Saturday afternoon should be great. And then really Sunday, those storms look like they kind of want to fizzle out before it reaches you on Sunday. So ultimately, Sunday should be good. Monday will be good because all the storms will fire off, west of your region. So you're probably looking at a pretty good day in Litchfield. Your temperatures, Friday is going to be around 80, Saturday mid 70s, Sunday around 80. So, and I know Monday's about the same as Sunday. So that's kind of what we're thinking after there. Blaine's going to be pretty similar to Litchfield. Litchfield's just kind of west of Blaine. So. But yeah, that's ultimately the Minneapolis region is looking pretty good. Sioux Falls, I know I get quite a few questions about Sioux Falls, and the only I think questionable one would be more so that Friday night, early Saturday morning. Just a matter of if some of those storms are able to make their way far enough eastward through the overnight hours. Here we are, Friday night, early Saturday morning. So it's just a matter if some of those storms are able to make it that far east and remain severe. If they are, it's going to be an isolated one. But I think for the most part, by that point, once they do, those storms are going to be, either rain or just some scattered storms. And then the other kind of area I seem to get asked about a lot or a fair amount is this northern part of Minnesota. They always say they're underserved up there, and I can believe it. I mean, there's nothing really out there as far as TV stations. You have Duluth and you have Fargo. I don't know what else is out there, if Bemidji's got anything or not, but you can kind of see as I flip through the models, not a lot of rain involved for your forecast. Here we are Sunday evening, and this is showing a little something, but not a whole lot. Take a look at the longer range model. Sunday, here we are Sunday again. If again, this is the more aggressive model for Sunday, where I'm not real confident on. So that would be about your only chance for storms in the northern parts of Minnesota would be late Sunday night, early Monday morning. But like I said, I'm not I'm not real confident on that at this point. I really think most of these storms are going to be firing off into Montana, eastern Montana, and then moving in through the Dakotas through the overnight hours. But that's kind of it. I'm gonna be in Bismarck. I got family in Bismarck. And as long as this scenario doesn't happen on Sunday, this is when we're going to be lighting off our fireworks and our family gets together. And, my kids love going out there, and they actually live just west of Bismarck a little bit, or east, sorry. And we all buy fireworks, and it's like a 3-4 hour display. So, and like I said, because we all, I have to go home on Monday. We're probably going to light them off on Sunday. So this is kind of the day I'm really interested in, and I'm really, really hoping these storms do not develop late in the day on Sunday, because that would kind of put probably a damper on things, not only for me, but I'm going to guess there's going to be a fair amount of other people that are going to be doing the same. In fact, I heard some people, I know, you go out to these lakes countries into Minnesota, and people will take their boats and drive them in the middle of the lakes, and then I think people even set them off from their pontoons and stuff, but I don't know, from their cabins people will light them off, and so they'll go out in the middle of the lake and watch everybody light off their fireworks. So, and I know I've heard from a few people, it sounds like Saturday night's kind of the night to do that as well in a lot of areas. That sounds like a great deal. I would love to see that sometime, but someday. I'm in Grand Forks, East Grand Forks, actually. So I am right here. That's where I'm from. That's where I'm located out of. Yeah, where's everybody else from? I know there's a few of you I've got some regulars on here. Oriana, Manx, Martha, I think I've seen you. AH, I think I've seen you before on here. If there's anybody new to the channel, thank you. Appreciate you jumping in. Let me know where you're from. Yeah, have a great 4th of July. Stay safe. Keep all your toes. Keep all your fingers. Don't lose any this weekend. Be smart about it. We've had some incidences in our past. Nothing big, but just a freak thing where we lit something and the tube. It was just windy enough that the wind tipped the tube over, and the fireworks shot out, and yeah, that got a little hairy. Everybody was a little nervous after that. New Hampshire, wow, okay, you're out in New Hampshire. Okay, I thought I've seen you on here before, AH, but maybe not. But welcome way out in New Hampshire. But yeah, that was a little hairy situation that time, unfortunately. So, that was actually the other thing I was going to talk about, just because people want to know about the winds when they light off their fireworks. Looks like it's really not going to be too bad. Here's Saturday. Here's the forecasted wind gusts. Not bad at all for Saturday. Picks up a little bit, maybe ahead of some of these storms Saturday night into Sunday. But then as you get to later into Sunday, you've got some 20-mile-per-hour gusts. I mean, you can kind of deal with gusts into Minnesota, southern parts of South Dakota. And then, you start to see some of this stuff increase into Montana. Usually what these models are picking up on are those storms that are set to move across. So, of course, as these storms move across, the winds obviously increase. So that's kind of what's going on there. But really, we're not. I don't think we're really expecting anything as far as too strong a wind gust. Friday, Saturday. There's Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, 20 to 25. And then Sunday night, again, this is more a response to some of the storms that this model wants to produce Sunday night. And you can see the 30s and 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And then as you get into Monday, really, really not bad at all. We've got the storms that kind of are moving into western parts of the Dakotas here, and that's a reflection of that. And some of those winds begin to increase overnight, but not too bad when it comes to the wind forecast. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were asking me about the airlines. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Happy 4th. Yeah, everybody. So it's sad. It's, yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. My daughters are very, very much looking forward to just getting out. We're not going far with the gas prices, but it's just good to get away. The other thing I was going to look at or just show here a little bit, was the dew points here on Friday. This is sort of one of the reasons why they're not really expected to be, too bad of storms. The dew points into Friday evening are still in the mid 50s, which are okay, but they're not great. They start to increase or sort of pool up as these storms move eastward, and you start to see some 60s in through South Dakota by Saturday morning. And then really, when we have these kind of the southerly draw, kind of keeps more of the higher dew points further out to the west, sort of where we're looking at these storms mainly. So that's really ultimately why most of these storms kind of develop. They push eastward, and then not only does that short wave kind of run out of juice, but the storms run out of juice at the lower levels as well, because as they move eastward, they start to run into more of the mid 50s dew points, and not as great a capes, and it just doesn't have quite the support at the ground level as well. As we get into a Sunday here, dew points really begin to increase. We got 70-degree dew points down the far southern parts of South Dakota. But that's where some of these storms are expected to move in and move eastward through the overnight hours, Sunday night through Monday. And that's that kind of the slow mover where by morning hours, it's only reaching western parts of Minnesota. And then usually that's about the point where these storms really fizzle out anyway, is kind of that daybreak hours, if they're still maintaining themselves. And that's due to because a lot of times you have a low-level jet that sets up through the overnight hours. And once you get just a little bit of heating from the morning, that low-level jet begins to decrease, and those storms begin to decrease. And that's some of the science behind it, essentially. But yeah, then you can see for Sunday's looking a little murky across much of our area. I have never been to New Hampshire. No, I have been to every state except for Alaska, west. So you go Minnesota, or you go Central Plains westward, except for Alaska I've been to. Eastward, not as much. I've gone to Florida. I've flown into New York. I've visited Boston, but not New Hampshire. That's the goal someday. Is I do want to hit all 50 states at some point. So I got to start taking road trips east. Andover, yeah, kind of the same lines as Blaine and everything else. Just the really only you might see some morning showers and storms. Excuse me. Saturday morning, maybe Sunday morning, not as much. I think Saturday morning's a better chance, and then I'm trying to remember, but the best chance is going to be early Tuesday morning for you in Andover. The way it's looking right now, that's a little bit out there at this point, but that's kind of what it's looking at. It's really, I'd be real curious. Like I said, I know the weather geeks out there are going to be keeping an eye on this shortwave as it moves out of Montana through the Dakotas, through Minnesota, makes its way through Wisconsin and into Michigan and Ohio. Yeah, it's got the potential of the old derecho, so which is an extended period of wind damage, essentially, from one storm. So the surface bake, or the capes at that point, yeah, really do extend through Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio on Tuesday. So it does have some juice to work with. All right, well, if that's kind of all the questions I've got from you guys, appreciate you coming on and just checking it out real quick. Yeah, like unfortunately, if anything does develop this weekend, just because I will be gone, I won't be able to keep up with the severe weather. But just go ahead and like my Facebook page, Region Weather Live, and if anything does develop out there that's really really needs or bears watching, I'll be able to post stuff on there. So just keep an eye on the Facebook page. It's probably going to be the best bet there. I also on YouTube now I'm able to do little write-ups as well, so I can also post stuff on there. I just can't go live, unfortunately. When I talk to a pilot, usually that's left to the dispatchers to do that. Um, in fact, it's just, yeah, not usually. It's the dispatchers. They're trained in, I guess, radio etiquette, um, more, if you want to call it that, and just how to talk to them. And oftentimes, the dispatchers are talking to us if they know something's going on. So they've got all the information right in front of them, or they've already talked to us. So it's ultimately the guys that are sitting in the other cubicles away from the meteorology desks that are talking to the pilots. So no, I've never. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever seen anybody talk directly to a pilot. That's okay. What's okay? Did I not do something well, Oriana? Oh, it's okay that I won't be on. Yeah. Yeah, but that's about all I got from it. I wish I could be on here this weekend, but I'm gonna go and relax for once, and I hope everybody else can as well. Not looking like anything widespread severe. We're not looking at anything like we had, what was it, about a week or so ago, where we had damaging winds run through the same place in Minnesota, Otter Tail County, Hubbard. They really got nailed earlier this week, right? Gosh, I'm losing track of my days. But yeah, nothing that ridiculous, but just some areas of gusty winds where you're going to be seeing some branches or maybe some small trees down in mainly in through western South Dakota. So question. What's the question? Did I not? Do you ever talk directly? What's the question? Question mark AH. Yeah, right. The dispatchers, like I said, they're in the same room as us. I shouldn't have said cubicle, but they're in the same room as us. And there's oftentimes if there's severe weather, and if it's going to be impacting a major area, a hub, like if it was Atlanta, or for us if it was Minneapolis, Detroit, Memphis, or the East Coast. If there was going to be a large event or a significant event, we'd have conferences with I'm trying to think of what the main guys were called, but kind of the guys that would sort of sit in the middle of the room and be the planners, I guess. And we'd tell them the forecast and timing and what we're looking at, and they'd come up with a plan, and then they'd distribute that to the dispatchers and say, here's the plan, here's how we're going to route planes. From this time bank to this time bank, we're going to route them this way, and after that, we're going to route them. We're going to route them that way, and then we got a plan for canceling some flights between these times. So those guys in the middle are gathering our information, and then they're telling their I guess their employees or their people, here's the plan. That's kind of how it works. And then if any dispatchers needs to know anything beyond that, then they can come up to us and ask, and then just kind of get the information that way. Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of a delay, unfortunately. Yeah, that's kind of how the meteorology world works when it comes to the aviation, when it comes to the airlines. Yeah, it was. That's why it was very rewarding. That's why, yeah, I liked it. I liked the work. It was a big responsibility, but it just felt rewarding, I guess. They're hiring. Delta's hiring, I saw. A guy that I used to work with posted it, so if anybody wants to live in Atlanta and has a meteorology degree, Delta Airlines is hiring. Oh boy, crazy story. Oh my lord. My problem is nowadays my memory is just shot. They pay pretty well. I'll just say that. Yeah, I mean, uh, there's a reason I didn't go into TV is because their pay scale was it rose quickly. That was the best thing. It yeah. I mean, because there's a lot of responsibilities. So um, within 5 years, I was making pretty good money there. So I'll even say within 3 years, I was making pretty good money there. Gosh, I'm trying to think of just a crazy story. Oh my God. I mean, they were just they kind of all jumble in. I mean, the East Coast was always such a dang mess whenever we got storms out there. Hmm. And then you deal with hurricanes, and then you deal with snowstorms um and turbulence. The worst thing actually was because there's no real good training for this. Jet airplanes can't fly through volcanic ash. Um, so we had banks go out at certain times, and they 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 head to Europe at a certain time, and they come back at a certain time. And I'm trying to remember which bank it was, if it was going to or coming from. Um, and same in the Pacific. And actually, I think this was out in the Pacific. Um, I don't remember if it was going to the States or the bank coming from the States, whichever way. There was a volcano that went off, just like you've got Alaska, and then you've got the Ketchikan Peninsula, and there was a volcano that went off and spewed a bunch of ash while we had planes in the air, and trying to forecast where exactly the ash was going, as these airplanes were now uh, out of radio range essentially, and if you had to talk to them, you'd have to dial them up on the satellite phone. So um, yeah, that was hairy. I didn't like that at all, because you're dealing with volcanic ash, which you've never been trained for before. So the only thing you've got to go with is which way are the winds going, and so which way could this ash be spreading. That was I didn't that's the one I didn't like at all. No, 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 not no. It takes a little bit to get to six figures. I left before I got there, but I would eventually got there. Not 12-hour shifts. They were 8.5-hour shifts. You'd overlap. Um, and then it was a union. um, so it was very seniority based. So the older guys, which of course you work for a good company, and you get good pay and all that, nobody leaves. So the older guys had the day shifts. I was very junior at the time, so I was stuck working midnights. Yeah, particles flying through the jet stream. Yep. And yeah, like I said, the jet engines, the the ash is like tiny, tiny pieces of glass. And so when they get sucked into the jet engines, it's like if I, it sort of melts it a little bit. It sort of like melts the glass that the engine does, and then it gums up on the engine, so you lose engines. And maybe it is. I don't know. No, I mean, starting pay is not going to be into triple digits or six figures. Um, no, I mean, let me tell you, the today's age, um, yeah, I mean, no, not right away. Yeah, it's 24. Yep, always somebody there. Of course, the most surreal thing was 9/11. Um, that was you know, thankfully they still paid us and all that stuff, but you came to work and well, we didn't have to come to work for probably about a week. Then you came to work and there still really wasn't much to do, but I wasn't working that day. I just got done working the evening shift, so I was actually sleeping when 9/11 went down. No, it isn't. I mean, when I started, I mean, it's that's a sad thing. It's not anymore, but um, I would like to have 100K. I'd be okay with that. So, but yeah, no, I was not on, thankfully. I just got off the evening shift the night before on 9/11. And I was sleeping, and my wife was actually out of town. She used one of my flight perks. Um, she used one of my flight perks to leave, and she called me and said, "What's going on?" Because she heard it where she was at, and she was in Colorado, kind of a little, kind of in the mountains of Colorado. So somehow she heard, and I said, "I don't know. Let me check." And yeah, that was surreal. Then of course she couldn't get back because all the flights were grounded. So she got like one of the last rental cars. Her and a friend got one of the last rental cars out and drove all the way home. So whew, that would have been something if I would have been working. Just I don't know. That would have made it even more surreal. All right, so there's a little bit of my life story. Yeah, interesting stuff, I'm sure. And it was interesting work. So, all right, folks, have a great 4th of July weekend. Stay safe. Just do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button just to give it a little like. Um, if you haven't, subscribe to the page so you know when I do forecasts. I promise you the forecasts will flow a little bit better than my live forecast. I was sort of all over the place tonight, but that's just how it goes some nights. Some nights the thoughts are just all jumbled in your head and you try to get them out. But but when I do recordings, I can start over and do better. Start over and speak differently. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure Minneapolis was not bad, at least when I moved down there or when I was living down there. I'll say you could get a decent house for yeah. Actually, when I moved back to Grand Forks, it was right during the housing bubble, and the housing bubble never really hit us up here. So I was amazed that I was trying to buy a house. Um, house prices were relatively the same as the southern suburbs of Minneapolis at that point. Yeah, we can always talk again some other time once I'm on live and things die off. So, um, always, yep, good times. So, all right, everybody, stay safe, stay cool, and yeah, check out the Facebook page if there's anything going on this weekend. That's where I'll kind of try to keep you updated. So that's kind of the plan this weekend. So we're gonna take a little bit of a break. I'm not gonna be on live at all. If anything does develop Monday night, Tuesday on, then I'll be able to come on live and continue to watch the weather at that point. So everybody have a good weekend.